Hi, hello, it's me, I'm back. Okay, so I've decided that if I'm gonna do the people map relationship thing, I should probably just do it like the day before I'm gonna do the video about that person. So the Pyro video is coming tomorrow, but this is also a Pyro video, but specifically I'm gonna do the relationship map thing so that he's top of brain and then maybe he gets a couple more comments on his post. And then I'm also going to ask some questions at the end just to kind of like prompt your brain and poke around some things that I've been seeing so that the Pyro video will be even better tomorrow. So, let's do this thing. Okay. I'm going to use the same system that I used for the other video with like the blue, red, green thing. And we're gonna do how does Pyro feel about other people before I do the other one. Yeah. Yeah, you can see that. I guess I should probably rotate it this way so that it's not like... Yeah, but essentially this is sort of like prep day in video form. I did say I was going to be doing a couple more chill videos. So this would be for the people who like to just listen to me yap and not really pay attention that hard. For you. Yeah. Let's see. I realized that it doesn't really matter if they're kind of close to each other. Got him. Yay. No crazy counting issues this time. Okay, so Pyro. Pyro, as mentioned, I can go faster for the vampires because we already talked about this. Pyro like Scott. We're not that close to that because it's like got that weird toxic thing going on. We'll get into it for surezies later in the questions, but also in the video. So we'll leave that for later. Oh, and I think they're beefing right now, so we're kind of in like the green, blue section. Yeah, they're pretty beefing. Shelby and Pyro, they good right now. Honestly, I think they were dark red. They extra good. Let's see. I believe we were sitting at light green for Apo, but like pretty close to red. So let's do that. And then, oops. Yeah, that's fun. Okay, and then I've written down a few things for other people. Well, that's the main vampires, but I guess we can do the other vampires. Cleo, it seems like it's sort of like, Pyro did get Cleo, so, but there's not like a huge relationship going on there. I would say they're like medium but leaning back. Actually, I was gonna do something and then I forgot about it. So I was thinking that it could be nice for reference to have a little like graph mabob thingy for vibes reference of like quantity of medium / bad feelings about people. And then we're just gonna pick you up and you're going to go on an adventure. So that you can see. It's kind of like this. Because like, this is sort of the medium area, the greens, where it's like kind of good or like slightly bad, but like not that bad. And then, because if this is like a graph and like these are the negative numbers and then these are the positive numbers, if that makes sense. But like, having a green relationship is like kind of whatever. It's sort of like -1 and +1. They're pretty close to each other, so it's not like the hugest deal. So yeah, I was just trying to like signify like the strength of emotion is exponential, if that makes sense. Put you back down. Okay. But that's generally what I'm trying to convey via colors. Yeah, back to the things. Okay, it seems like pretty chill. I want to say that Lagundo and Pyro are pretty chill, but like, yeah, because he has chosen to like be super like, yeah, I'd say that they're in that range. Honestly, if we're doing that though, then it is icky, but I would say that it is probably dark red for Scott. Let's see. Other vampires. This is one that you can fight me on, but I feel, I don't know. I don't really I haven't gotten like a huge read on Drift and Pyro, so I'm gonna leave them as light green, because I don't think Pyro really has any problems with Drift, but I don't think they're like besties, so I would say light green. Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of like light green. Okay, Avid. I don't know how bothered Pyro was about Avid, and he didn't seem to be too torn up about it at the end of the episode when they were chatting. He didn't seem to, he kind of was like, whatever, you know, kind of taking Scott's stance of like, he'll come around. So I wouldn't say that he really has negative or positive feelings about Avid per se. It's just sort of like depends on what you do after you become a vampire this episode. We'll see. That one's kind of up in the air for me. So green is sort of like either like vaguely positive, vaguely negative, or pretty neutral is sort of the range. If that's why I was trying to show you how close it is to like the middle and it being like a smaller. If that makes sense? Yeah. It's kind of funky. That's why I'm glad I have lots of colors. Okay. This one's interesting. It seems like Pyro was really happy that like Ren like believed in him a little bit in the episode when they were chatting by the lake after the lake fight. Ren was giving a speech, as he does. I wouldn't say that they're friends, but yeah. Okay. There is this, though. Fight me in the comments about this, but I mean, Pyro was messing with Pearl, but like, I kind of want to believe that if he's friends with anybody, it's Pearl in like town specifically. I mean, like he's buddies with Lagundo, but like that's still like a relationships that's kind of born out of necessity. Yes, he's like, Doc was chill and I trust him to like try and fix it, but like I feel, again, the ones that have 2 arrows are just kind of ones where I'm using the 2 arrows to kind of be like, it's somewhere in the middle of this and I don't want to have another color because that's too confusing kind of situation where it's like you could argue either way. But if you do have a take that is drastically different from whatever I've put up here, I would like you to comment and explain, because I am going to be making a Pyro video tomorrow. So it'd be nice to know if I'm blatantly wrong about anything. Thanks. Like if there's anyone that like Pyro actively dislikes that I didn't pick up on. Okay. I don't know if Pyro has any like huge feelings towards Sausage, but he was in the group that was like kind of being nice at the lake, but also Sausage has been like one of the most like raw vampire bad, but also weirdly like into it as well. He's kind of hard to place. I don't feel like anyone has super complicated feelings about Sausage. It's almost like he's like the court jester, and so nobody really knows what to do with him. He's just kind of there, and he says stuff sometimes. I probably need to get into Sausage's POV a little bit more, but I don't feel like he's being as serious as some of the other people, if that makes sense. And so it's harder for me to want to justify the time to look into his POV if I feel like I'm not going to find that much. But the comments are open on the Sausage page. If there's enough people who are like, guys, there's so much interesting lore and character analysis to be done here, and or it could be like, yeah, you right, he just like, he there, and it's not that deep. But yeah. Abolish. I feel like everyone has like a vaguely good opinion of Abolish. I don't think anyone dislikes Abolish. I mean, there was like a mini fight with Apo and Abolish at the beginning of episode 5, but I feel like that doesn't mean that Apo doesn't still have a green arrow pointing at Abolish. Like, maybe it went to dark green, but like at most, that is the worst anyone feels about him. Anyways. Okay, so that's how Pyro feels about other people. So this Pyro's opinion of these people. Now we're gonna flip it around and do these people opinion about Pyro. This one, I don't know how. Again, this is something where it's gonna be like, hey, please timestamp and yell at me in the comments if I'm blatantly wrong about anything. A couple of these are gonna be like kind of hard for me to place because they don't talk enough in like the episode for me to be able to have a decent read on it. Yeah. So just keep that in mind, that some people haven't talked very much, or have they have talked, but not super character focused, if that makes sense. Like, people talk, but sometimes they're just also happen to be present for the same conversation, and it's not like they're talking to each other. It's more that they're just also at the town meeting or whatever. So let's do this. Let's do vampires first because that's easier. I'd say Scott is it was kind of green, but I feel like we're kind of back to red. Be like, yep, no, we chill. Owen is actively pissed at Pyro. I worry a little bit for Pyro's safety, specifically with Owen. Because Owen might do something. We'll see. Shelby, I would say Shelby and Pyro, they're great. They're on great terms. Shelby thinks Pyro's great. We chillin'. Appo, they made up last episode. I think it went pretty well. I think Appo is like, yeah, you're okay. I don't hate your guts. And I think it's gonna be this pretty soon. Yeah, I'm happy about that though. The roomies, they're very cute and fun. I love when they hang out. It's like, yay. Please stop fighting each other. It makes me sad. Okay. Cleo. Pyro is the one who got Cleo. So, but I don't know how pissed Cleo is about it. I would say it's around the blue dark green range. Feel free to fight me if you think I'm wrong, or like Cleo either didn't care or really cares and is personally holding that against Pyro, like a lot. Avid. See, Avid's a vampire now, so I don't know how much of Avid's previous feelings about Pyro are still relevant. Yeah. Because Avid has some interesting stuff going on. Avid is, the short version is essentially that Avid thought that, what happened, which was clearly a werewolf thing, was a vampire thing. And so he was like freaking out about werewolves, and he thought everyone else was effectively, you know, feral monster or whatever. And he has since realized vampires be chill and reasonable and mostly fine. So he's like, whatevs, it's probably chill. And so I don't know how he specifically feels about Pyro. It seemed like it was vaguely amicable. So we'll give a slight positive. We'll give him a green. You're welcome to say Avid wants to murder Pyro and hates his guts and thinks he doesn't deserve the cure and wants to burn him in the pits of whatever. And feel free, leave a comment, timestamp it. But I don't think it's like that crazy. I feel like Avid's gonna be more focused on being mad and sad at himself because he put himself in timeout last episode. Parley Pop. I think Parley probably did say they were friends. But I don't know how friendly. I think it's another case of like red green where I'm like, yeah, but not totally, you know. It's like I'm kind of remains to be seen if this is a stronger or weaker relationship, because you can be like good acquaintances with someone and not be friends, you know. You can be like, we know each other, I don't hate you, I kind of like you, but it's not like a friendship thing, you know. Ren, how does Ren feel about Pyro? I mean, he had hope in him at the end, but Ren has been one of the more outspoken boo vampires people. You can feel free to fight me. I'm gonna give a dark green because I feel like it's not like the worst ever. It's not like a huge amount, but I wouldn't say that they're really friends or on super good terms. But if you have a whole video essay rant for me in the comment, feel free. That's what the comments are for. It's great. I love reading them. Drift. Drift seems to be pretty chill about most of the vampires. I wouldn't say that they're friends per se, but I will say, you know, vaguely chill about Pyro, I would say, from Drift. Abolish. Abolish is kind of hard to get a read on. He doesn't seem too bothered. It doesn't seem to, like, doesn't seem to be feeling super hard one way or the other. So I'll give a light green. I think he's pretty, like, neutral about pretty much everybody. That's not the case, but kind of. Yeah, I think light green's probably the right option. Sausage. I'm gonna do dark green. Sausage has been one of the more open, like, rawr, vampires suck, but also he literally, I literally said this earlier when I was talking about Sausage. But, like, I don't know. He was also, I believe, there at the lake. So I'm wondering. If anyone has any strong thoughts about Sausage, feeling about how Sausage feels about Pyro, feel free. Yeah. But definitely keep in mind that the light greens and the dark greens are very close to each other. They're pretty, like, low on the, it's like neutral is the middle, and then the slightly above neutral is light green, slightly below neutral dark green. Some people's is more so than others. You get it. I believe in you. You understand. My pictures make complete sense. Legs. How does Legs feel about Pyro? See, I don't know what his feelings are. It feels more so that Laguna is treating Pyro more so as a case than a person. I don't like that. That doesn't feel right. He seems to be frustrated quite a bit because his actions and his words don't really line up as much as he would hope. But I don't think Laguna really has, like, he's not, like, super mad. Like, he's frustrated occasionally because he can't really trust Pyro. Like, he wants to help, but he can't really trust Pyro in any, like, meaningful capacity. So I'm just gonna do 2 colors for this one because that's how I deal with it being unclear or not quite one, not quite the other, but in the neutral slash kind of pause, kind of whatever, you know? Okay. Now I have some thought-provoking questions for you to think about. Homework. Okay, so couple things to mention. I'm gonna kind of go a little bit faster so you're not, like, held here too long, and also so that people actually hear the good questions. Okay. Who in town is actually pulling Pyro? Can any of the humans pull Pyro like anyone on Team Vampire can? Is there anyone in town that he cares about enough to be genuinely pulled back towards town? And you can obviously look at this for reference, but feel free to make arguments in the again, all of these are like, hey, leave comments here or leave your comments on the Pyro community post. Another question that's important, because like, on the vampire side, Scott has a very strong pull, and that's what keeps pulling him back there. And so he's getting pulled, and he's getting pulled, and he's getting pulled. And so who is pulling Pyro on the human side, and can they pull enough to get him to want to stay? But let's move on. One thing that I also want to bring up that isn't necessarily, some of these are questions, some of these are just thoughts. Pyro has, like, a bigger sense of pride and definitely more of an ego as like a vampire for sure. And so that's worth digging into. Another thing that's been mentioned and that I've noticed and other people have noticed is authority figures and like titles with Pyro. Pyro tends to go for titles when they're available and kind of assumes that authority figures are going to hurt him, implying past trauma, so that's fun. Okay, and then someone on Tumblr mentioned, I believe, Dr. Jekyll and Hyde or something with Jekyll and Hyde. It's a story. It's sort of like a split personality thing. I believe the synopsis that I read was something along the lines of like, guy splits his personality in half, the good stuff and the bad stuff, and sometimes he turns on the bad stuff so that he can go and be evil and not feel bad about it. But unfortunately, he keeps doing it too much and now he can't turn it off. So I thought that was interesting. I feel like that's I can see why people are pulling parallels between this, because Pyro is fairly like, decent person, but like it's not like he's been perfect. He's kind of gone a little bit of evil mode a few times, He's not like irredeemably terrible, but he's also not like, perfectly nice, or you get what I mean. Blah 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 blah. Let's move to the next thing. Okay, let's touch on Scott. Pyro uses the specific term, Scott disciplined me, when he's talking to Owen. So that's fun. But specifically, Scott has tightened Pyro's leash, so to speak. There's less space. And so that's interesting. He's definitely, I don't want to say insecure, but he's definitely feeling the difference. Scott also, there's a lot of stuff going on with Scott and Pyro. But one thing that happens in Pyro's episode is he's pretty constantly analyzing like Scott's behavior and like trying to respond to it as best as he can to get a favorable outcome after the confrontation about the lie. Yeah. Like, in one specific instance that I'm remembering that I know I have notes for is that Pyro talks about like, I don't like the way he looked at me, or like the look in his eyes from Scott. So he's paying attention enough to feel the disappointment through the Minecraft character of Scott. Okay. And then Scott does a lot of gaslighting and victim blaming towards Pyro. Yeah, there's just a lot going on there. And then, okay, Pyro's backstory. I don't think we have all of it, but generally speaking, family kicked me out, falsely accused for murder of childhood bully, go be school person, scholar, learn cool stuff. Okay, he's also, something I've been noticing is that he's been leaning into / like picking up like vampire lingo a little bit, like pro-vampire, anti-human word choice. I hate to say like racist, but it kind of is a teeny bit. Like the humans are doing the same thing with the vampires, to be fair, in several instances. but like there's a specific amount of like charged language that you can notice that the vampires will use. Like the way that their tone is and the words that they choose to use when they're talking about the humans. And then the same thing happens with the humans. Some of the humans will say certain things in certain ways that you can tell that their specific view is more negative in nature towards vampires. And I've noticed that Pyro is using a lot of the rhetoric, I guess, around anti-human pro-vampire. So that's interesting for sure. I don't know if this was me or someone else or several people, but Apo and Pyro, when they have their little makeup thing, something that happens is Apo switches from like Truffle to herself partway through the conversation, almost likening Truffle to herself a little bit, which is an interesting analogy that it might happen at some point. We'll see. But Pyro never had any trouble like not munching on Truffle, and Apo has almost done it at least twice. So there's definitely you could get into some stuff there. But yeah, Pyro is definitely a people pleaser, sort of putty that can be smushed, molded. Oh, one other thing that I really liked that I wrote in my notes when I was watching Pyro's videos. Pyro always points out when they're at the lake beacon, specifically the lake beacon where he got turned. And you can tell he still has some feelings about it. Like, they haven't gone away yet. Like, he says he's fully in the vampire. And he kind of is at this point. But there's definitely some residual unresolved feelings about, you know, being effectively brutally killed, essentially. He's alive now, kind of, but not the same. And then another fun thing is that there was a fight at that specific spot, and Pyro got really low in the water by the lake beacon, which is where he got turned. I think it was around really close to the water by the lake beacon. It was almost like the same spot. So I can imagine there was a certain amount of like trauma flashback, at least a little bit. Yeah, so that's definitely fun for brain. Yeah, but when he's explaining what happened to Apo specifically with his turning, it's very much like a light leaves the eyes of the characters. They're talking, you can see that their soul is like dead a little bit, like, you know, like the look that they're like, I don't want to say catatonic, but like you could tell that he was like not having a good time about it for sure. Yeah. Okay. And then one more thing. Pyro kind of burned Owen last episode by the "you have no power over me." I think I commented about it somewhere in one of the community posts, and I rambled about it a little bit. But effectively, Owen is the only relationship that Pyro has in Team Vampire that's voluntary, because he turned Shelby and Scott turned him. So there's like a sense of like direct connection there. And you can tell more so in like Owen's video, but like Owen is like, sad but also like angry at the same time, because he realizes that Pyro didn't care about him enough to like feel bad enough to feel like, because Owen felt betrayed and Pyro didn't care. Because like when you come to tell someone or you confront them about them betraying you, you would hope that they would have a similar reaction of feeling about it and be like, yeah, sorry, let me like, try and fix it. And he didn't. Pyro was just kind of like, whatever. Sort of left him on red a little bit. Pyro's in danger next episode. Like, I don't know how much bad stuff Owen will do, but if someone's gonna catch the stray, it's gonna be Pyro. So, please be safe. Okay, but that's generally the thing is, you mostly, if you're gonna be paying attention to people for Pyro and specifically the relationship side and less so like just Pyro analysis, because we are all gonna do Pyro analysis. But if you're looking for people, you're probably gonna want to look at Ludo. You're probably gonna want to look at Scott. You're probably gonna want to look at Shelby's. Their relationship's pretty solid and straightforward. Appa, you're probably gonna want to look at maybe Pearl a little bit. And then I guess Owen, because it tells you about him, because he doesn't treat Owen very well. But yeah, I would say that's pretty much the sitch. So give me some more comments before I do the Pyro video tomorrow. What? 11, 12 days? It's less than a week. Whatever. Again, bye.